with all due respect.
All right, recording in progress with all due respect, episode 9. Josh and Gray, we are back. I guess, Gray, we're going to be doing these more frequently, apparently, we've been told.
Yeah.
That we're going
We've
to
been
be
gotten on to, reprimanded.
like
You need to
reprimanded
do this more.
do these more. So we're going to be doing these more. Guys, with all due respect, we talk about fitness, health, wellness, sports performance, mindset. I mean, really whatever we want to, and we try to be extremely unapologetic about it. That's the beauty about running your own podcast. You get to talk about what you want to talk about, right? And doing what you want to do, and you know, talk about anything that people don't like to talk about. And we have Josh Holmes. So Josh Holmes is my buddy, man. He's been in the industry a long time in developing youth athletes, right, from a strength and conditioning side. Josh, tell us a little about who you are, what you do. We have, man, if I could share screenshots that me, you, and some friends have about sports performance, we'll probably all get fired. But
man,
give us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and go from there, man.
Right. Yes, sir. So Josh Holmes, I moved down to South Carolina about 10 years ago. Came from Madison, Wisconsin. Was just honestly moved down here for the weather. It snowed in Cinco de Mayo. Cinco de Mayo, we had a 6-inch snowstorm, and I said, I'm out. Can't do it anymore. Moved down to the South with one of my best friends. No job, nothing. Kind of just a leap of faith. It was like 23, and ended. You know, I thought I'd be down here for a couple years, enjoy the weather, but ended up staying, and I don't think I'll ever go back. But I moved down here and sent an email to all the private schools. So I wanted to do. My friend moved down here for a PE job, so I didn't go to school for teaching. Just finished my master's degree in sports management. So came down here. Knew South is big for sports. So sent an email to all the private schools because I can't teach in a public school. Thought I'd do PE. Cardinal Newman reached out and met with the AD there and ended up being there for 8 years. So started at Cardinal Newman, and the first 2 years I was just a normal PE and health teacher. And honestly, PE was kind of just, it was roll the basketballs out, we're hooping and all that. You know, that's what we did. And then they needed to push strength and conditioning. The school was trying to grow sports. And honestly, I was getting ready to be on my way out. I was looking at other opportunities. Didn't know if being in a school is what I wanted to do. And Steve, you know, obviously, you know, you're a good friend, Steve, and you go, well, Coach V. They hire Coach V to be the strength coach. And I had trained in the past. I was training kids on the side as a little side job, but not in the strength, not in like the sports specific type of strength and conditioning. You know, it was normal like bodybuilding type stuff you would think of. And V comes in and introduces me to a whole new world of strength and conditioning, stuff that I didn't even really understand at the time. So I got very lucky that is who they hired. V became like a brother to me. And the other cool thing was V, his good friends were some really, really smart guys in strength and conditioning. And that was that first year V was there when I met you. So he introduces me to you, you know, Jason Brunson, and I'm around these guys that are like, I'm like, damn, these guys are smart. So I fall in love with it. And I'm learning all this new stuff. So V's telling me, he's like, dude, you got to get your CSCS. Again, like I didn't have a background in like the anatomy, you know, all the other stuff. So I take a year and I'm reading that CSCS textbook, like one of the most boring books I've ever read. So in depth. It took me, it's like a year and a half studying, got the app and ended. So I take the CSCS after I think a year and a half and get it. And by that time, our strength program's blowing up. Me and V are running it. Coach Dutton was our head football coach. He's running the football stuff. And us, the way we worked together was unreal. Like we had coaches from all over coming to see what we're doing. Our school was super supportive. You know, our last block of the day one day was for male varsity athletes. The next day is for female varsity athletes, and they switch each day. Classes we're rolling groups of 100, literally 100. It was baseball, basketball, football, and soccer. We got them split up. V's got a group. I got a group. Dutton's got a group. And people are coming in. They're like, you know, they couldn't believe it, what it was going with it. And at that time, I get we talked about relationships, right? So in my opinion, relationships are everything. It doesn't matter if I'm the smartest guy in the world. If I don't have a relationship with my athlete, they don't want to do it. They don't want to do this. Strength and conditioning is hard. Like, it's not comfortable. I don't know about you guys, but the majority of the kids I work with, they like, it's not their favorite thing, right? It's not their sport. Especially I have a lot of basketball players. So basketball strength and conditioning is just kind of getting a little more popular now. Back when we first started, it was like, these kids are like, well, we don't want to do this. It's gonna jack up my jump shot. You know, I'm gonna get bulky. It's like, man, I always tell in the girls too. You know, the girls were hesitant at first, like, I don't want to get big. And I said, look at the guys in our school. How many guys in our school are big? Right? Not many. Not many. So you guys don't have to worry. But the cool thing was, like, the girls embraced it even more, I think, than the guys did. But so anyways, like, I was with basketball majority, was my kind of main sport in volleyball. And Ashlyn Watkins comes to the school in 8th grade. And for anyone who doesn't know, Ashlyn was one of the top players in the country. You know, I think she dunked in like 8th grade. So very special athlete, gifted athlete. And when she came in, that was not her comfort zone. Private school, didn't know anybody, very uncomfortable. She got a tough shell. And me and her just hit it off. It's nothing. I never pushed anything on her. We just talked every day, little, and never about basketball. I talked to her about life, like just what's going on outside of that. What shows do you watch? What movies? Everybody always talks to her about basketball. Oh, you dunk, you do all this. I didn't really talk to her about that. We just talked about, you know, normal people stuff. But we hit it off. And so, like, that first year we start, you know, she's in there, and we start once, twice a week, just, you know, learning new stuff, try to make it as fun as possible. But after that first year, it kind of took off even more. And obviously you see Ashlyn doing it. All these other girls are like, well, I need to do this. And so that really, our strength and conditioning really took off at that point. I also had a guy, Chico Carter, was one of the first kids that really that we kind of gravitated to each other. And he ended up going to Murray State. He's close friends with Ja Morant, ended up in South Carolina, DePaul, and now he's going to be going overseas to play. But he was the guy that, you know, I made connections with, and it wasn't on purpose. It's just these two happen to be the best player on the women's side, the best player on the men's side. And once everyone else sees them doing that, your leaders, your best players, it was just kind of like it became the standard. And you know, in the meantime, everything's blowing. Our football, basketball, baseball, soccer, it became a norm at the school. Like, that's just what we did, is we worked out. And, you know, obviously we kind of tried to copy what Hammond did. Hammond has always been the standard of, especially when it comes to strength and conditioning, and what, you know, what Josh has done there. And you know, that's kind of what we were trying to model. And then, so a couple years go by. I think Coach V ends up going to Apex, and I take over the strength conditioning program for a couple years. But while that's going on, I kind of start training more on the side, get a few clients. And then that leads to a couple more high-level players. I got fortunate to meet Joyce Edwards, who is in and she is actually she's playing with Team USA right now for, I think, the U18. But so I started training her sophomore year, and that kind of just led to more and more kids. And but also, while that was going on, you know, we have others besides the varsity classes at Cardinal Newman. We have our lower level classes, you know, the freshmen, the sophomores, even 8th grade. So I'm seeing these things where I'm getting a lot of these kids, and they can't, you know, they can't do basic, they can't skip, they can't jump, they can't, you know, a lot of like things where I'm like, wait a second, we always used to be able to do that. So I'm like, what's going on? So I kind of start getting interested in the younger kids, like why is this happening? You know, what's going on? What are they doing outside of school? And I get like, I start to be like, well, if I could help some young kids and they start doing this at a young age, what would they be like when they get to high school? And even if they're not working with me, what are they like for their strength coach? They get to high school and they can do a squat already. They can do a push up. The number of kids that cannot do an actual push up is crazy. And that's honestly still, I see that with my high school kids when I start with them. But so I get interested in the youth thing, and I started, my wife is a teacher in Richland 2 school district. So she tells me about this program in the summer that they run, where if I have an LLC, I can go run like a youth, just fun. it's almost like PE type, old school PE, where we're playing games and tag and we're hanging on monkey bars and we're doing monkey bars. Kids don't do monkey bars anymore. I didn't know that until I got back into this youth development. And so I start at one school and I fall in love with it. I'm like, these kids, they're so much fun. They don't care what we do. If I'm having fun and like hyping it up, all I got to do is get loud and scream a little bit and start chasing them. Let's go. Like they're down. So I'm at one school. I was at CFA Elementary and running this program, and they love it. I was there 2 days a week. In the summer, I was there 3 days a week. School year, 2 days a week. And the kids are I see kids that would not do any exercise outside of just with me, but they're loving it. They're running. And my goal was just like, I found so many kids that when they got to me in high school, they had this weird relationship with like exercise. It was like, oh, this is a punishment. I have to do this. Oh, and it's like, oh, I hate that for you. Like, this is not a punishment. You're not in trouble. Like this is good for you. It's good for your body, whether you play a sport or not. This is just something I would like you to develop a healthy relationship with for the rest of your life. And so when I'm with these young kids, my goal is, number one is I need to make this fun. So we start, again, like I said, we're playing tag. I bring my hurdles. We're jumping over hurdles. Kids love to jump over hurdles. We're doing obstacle courses. Really, it's stuff where they're working out, but they have no idea they're working out. That was my goal. Like by the time they're done, they're super sweaty and they're like, wow, that was awesome. They had fun.
Yeah.
Yes. Like they had fun. And that's my goal. Parents would come pick their kids up. They're like, I don't know what you're doing with them, but they love it. They want to come back. Like they are so excited for the days you're here. So that actually led then to me getting into 2 other schools and running more youth programs. The same thing I was doing at this one, but just doing the same thing now at these other schools. Just I'm like, I want to try to get as many kids as possible. Now, like if they're developing this love for exercise and strength and conditioning when they get to high school, it's just going to be normal for them.
What ages?
So,
what ages? When you say youth, what ages were these kids?
Yeah, so it was cool. I would have one group. I'd have 2 groups for one for 30 minutes and then another for 30 minutes. First group would be first, second, and third grade. And then after the 30 minutes, I'd have 4th, 5th, and 6th. So we just split them like that. So I was working with everyone from, real young, first grade, all the way through 6th for youth. So I fell in love with these programs, and I'm like, I love this youth age. So then I decided I'm on a playground. It was at their school, outside in their playground, not in their gym or anything. No weights, nothing. So like I said, also courses, we're hanging on monkey bars, challenges like that. Who can hang the longest? So then I'm like, well, I want to do this. And a lot of the kids, they're not forced to be there, but this program. So it's like there's PE is one, art is one, STEM is one. So some of them obviously are like, no, I don't want to be here. I hate the hot weather. We're outside. Like, okay. So I'm like, well, I want to do this for like little more like athlete based kids. So I decided to start, I call it Fundamental Fridays, just because I did it on Friday evenings in the school year. And I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but the amount of practices and stuff that these youth kids have, I'm like, I can't find a time where they don't have a practice or a skills training. So it was like Friday nights, right? Most kids don't have much on Friday nights. So it started at this gym at this gym that we had. And I get a group, maybe it's like 6 kids right away. And I can do a little more strength and conditioning based. So like the first 40 minutes is tag. It's we're doing speed, agility, that type of stuff, but just in a way it's in game based.
It's fun, yeah.
Okay, well we're gonna do speed. Yes, so it's like we're gonna do speed. Instead of me saying, hey, we're gonna run these sprints, it's like, hey, partner up and you're gonna chase your partner. Don't let them catch you, right? So now we're chasing each other. They don't realize we just ran 20 sprints, max effort sprints, and they just think we're playing tag or we're having fun. The one game they love the most, have you ever seen on ESPN, they do ultimate tag where it's like all those obstacles and these guys are like over the bars, under everything. So, and it had a half basketball court where we were training out of, and I'd set up benches, hurdles all throughout the court. And it'd be like 2 versus 2, 2 people chasing, 2 getting chased. You had 8 seconds to catch them or to not get caught. And they're flying over hurdles, under hurdles, jumping over the benches, jumping off the benches. And again, like you just did 5 depth drops. You did 4 hurdle jumps and just straight 8 seconds of agility and juking and speed. Love it, but they don't they're not like, oh, I'm working right now. So everything I did was game based. Want to do agility. So like I throw up I got a bunch of scarves. Throw a scarf up. They run to that one, and I'm throwing another one up over on this side, and catch this one, get over to this one. I'm not doing drills. Kids, we know kids, their attention span, if I'm going to sit there and talk to them, is about 5 seconds. So I'm like, these games got to be quick. I got to be able to explain it in one step. I'm not going to sit here and do drills with you. They don't want to do it. It's boring for them. My main goal behind it was I need to make this as fun as possible. So again, they develop like a love for this. And then the last 15, 20 minutes, they're doing very basic fundamental strength movements. We're doing goblet squats. We're doing push-ups from the ground. A lot of times I'll just do, hand release push-ups. Start on the ground, lift your hands up, push-up, incline push-ups. We're hanging on bars. I'll get bands. We're doing banded pull-ups. A lot of stuff with med balls. Hey, I don't care how hard you throw it or how far you throw it as far as you can. I don't care what it looks like. 5 med ball throws, all different right there. Obstacle courses for our warm-ups where, shoes are off. We're doing a lot of barefoot stuff, jumping on little 5-pound plates, trying to balance, just really gamifying everything. And it grew from, 4 to 6 kids on the first week. And we went, I think, every single Friday, except for maybe 3 in the whole school year. I had over probably 30 to 40 different kids that had came through. And that was without me. I couldn't advertise it because, I would post on Instagram maybe once a week, a little highlights of it. But I was in 3 elementary schools. I couldn't advertise to them because I was worried about how many kids I would get, and I wouldn't be able to support it because the facility I was at, I just wasn't going to be able to do it. So I'm like, man, if I can find a way to really advertise this thing, I think like the kids loved it. They're telling their friends. I'm getting kids showing up and they're bringing their friends with them. And like their friends are wanting to come back. I'm getting text messages from parents like, we love this. The kids love it. They're like, after a little while, they're doing things on the court or the field they didn't think they could do before. I'm doing, cartwheels, somersaults, just, basic things, like putting them in all different types of positions that they don't usually get in. So, okay, like we want to do mobility. Well, I'm going to put my hurdles as low as possible, and you guys got to get under them different ways without touching the ground. Okay, well, you just did 30 different squat variations and lunge variations, and and all you hear is, oh, my hips, oh, my knees. And it's like, yeah, you don't realize it, but that's what we're working on. And again, I don't care if they know. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, can I just say too?
Yes.
You're changing the game for kids because personally speaking, like exercise during sports that wasn't, drills for my specific sport, it's punishment a lot of the time.
Yes.
You're running because you did something bad. So, and then as you get older as an adult, it's still punishment because of your weight or what you ate or whatever. So you're literally changing the entire game for these kids, saying, no, exercise sometimes is going to be intense and it's going to be for real, but a lot of the time it should be really fun.
It's fun. Yes.
Whole mindset change.
Yes. And I always tell them too, I'm like, you don't there's a million different forms of exercise. You don't have to just lift weights. Like, of course, lifting weights is great for you. But if you like yoga, if you like swimming, you like just find something you like. And that's why, like with the youth things, I do nothing. I hate sport specific. I do nothing that is revolving around. No, it doesn't exist. I'm not. So like, I don't care if you play soccer, basketball, football, baseball. I don't care. We're doing these things that have nothing to do with your sport. And that's why I tell them, like, but everything we're working on will translate to your sport. If you get faster, everybody needs to get faster, right? I do a lot of stuff like reaction based. So, one of our warm-ups is like, I love the, if I say hand or knees, put your hands on your knees, shoulders, head, and then ball. And they got to be the first one to reach out and grab a ball, like something really quick. But like, that's working. It's actually working your reaction time.
Well, every sport needs the same thing. So you need to be fast. You need to be quick to react. Like every sport doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
Sport-specific training as a term is really a marketing term, right? It doesn't really exist, right? And,
yes.
My biggest one is elite youth sports training. I'm like, I haven't met
for what?
Elite. I haven't met
like
elite.
For what?
I haven't met an elite. I haven't met an elite 16-year-old in the weight room ever in my life.
No,
like, it doesn't exist, right?
No, I can't with the word elite.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness,
yeah.
Dude,
elite
everything these days.
Sounds like you're starting a youth baseball team.
What? You're 12.
Yeah.
You're
It's marketing.
10 and you haven't went through puberty. How do you know if you're elite?
Yeah, yeah, I told somebody earlier this week, we're having a conversation this week, and they're like, man, what's one of the best strength coaches you know? I go, puberty. Puberty's the best strength coach in the country. I was like, he is that guy Puberty. I know a guy named Puberty that is by far.
Man.
I've gotten more credit for Puberty than I've ever gotten in my life. They're like, man, that kid's blown up. I'm like, it must be your workouts. Or it's Puberty.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
What point, where did you make the jump from I'm starting my own business. I'm doing this myself. For people that don't know, Josh is at his house in his garage.
Yep.
Right? Like,
yep.
Which is it's so gangster, bro. Like that's back to like, like Mark Verstegen one time, Mark Verstegen for Exos and he wants I heard him say one time, he goes, I can make anybody faster with 4 walls. I don't need all the stuff, right? And I've always used that when people like, are like, what equipment do you need? I was like, what I really need, I just need people. That's it, right? I don't need much, but it's nice to have. It's nice to have cool, like at our weight, we got tendos, right? I don't like when people are like, you got 8 tendos. I'm like, yeah. I was like, no, well, you're like, give me a break, right? But like, what was the jump between I'm going from the high school environment to I'm doing this on my own? Talk about that.
Yeah. So, okay. So I was at Cardinal Newman for 8 years. And really I'm still not, they contract me in. So I still help. I go in, once or twice a week during the school year to train volleyball in season. I train basketball throughout the whole year. And then I train soccer throughout the whole year. So I'm still kind of there, but that's just, I go in last block of the day, train them and I'm out. No, it's a contract type deal. But I think it was probably my 7th year. I started to my training outside of, I moved into this house and the first I see this detached garage. And that was one of the main reasons, honestly, we got the house. So I'm like, I can make this a gym. So I turned this into a gym. And again, I don't have anything special. I got 1 squat rack. I got a Smith machine. I got a rack of dumbbells, a couple benches. The 2 things I splurged on were a Rogue Echo bike. And I just got a pendulum squat machine just because one thing that with my gym, I felt like we were lacking is like that max effort, like let's go as heavy as you can. When I have groups, I worry. I only have 1 squat rack. So I'm like, to get all kids in and squatting is going to take a really long time. Got to teach a lot. I got to be making sure everyone's okay. My pendulum squat, you get in that thing, you can load it up. It only goes one way. You're not worried about stability. You're not worried about anything. And we can go as hard as possible on that thing. So, but yeah, so like you said, I don't need much. So I have this little thing. So I make the gym and I'm still at Cardinal Newman. I start training a little bit more. So, I'd work Cardinal Newman all day. I was full-time, train. After school, I would go to one of my, depending on the day, I'd go to a youth or one of my elementary schools. You go through that. And then I'd come home and I'd have probably 1 session at night at my house. So I'm going 8 to 8, really, on a lot of the days. It got to be a lot. And I'm starting to think like, okay, do I have enough clients? Can I have enough schools where I could really do this thing on my own? And there were some things going on at Cardinal Newman where they were kind of going in a different direction with strength and conditioning that it wasn't what it used to be with me and V and Dutton and the backing that we had. Some of our classes had got taken away. We didn't have the women's class anymore, which really, that one crushed me because that was honestly one of my favorite classes because those girls would work, man. And I hated that for them. So there were some things, and then my wife gets pregnant. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm about to have a baby. I can't go 8 to 8 anymore.
Yeah. Let's just get back down to it. Your wife got pregnant and reality hit you in the face.
There we go.
Right? Let's be honest.
You're right.
Your wife gets pregnant and she's like, you need to be around more.
So I'm like, all right. So I'm like, I got to choose. Am I going to do Cardinal Newman full time or am I going to see if I can do this thing on my full time? So I take this leap of faith. At the time, I had, with Ashlyn at this time, Ashlyn is she has just gone to South Carolina. Joyce is on her way up. At this point, she's the #1 player in the country. Malaysia Fulwiley is training with me at this point.
I didn't know you had her. I didn't know you had her.
Yeah. So
she's incredible.
Dude,
I've never seen. She's Allen Iverson, bro. When I watch her play, I'm like, that's a female Allen Iverson.
100%. She does things that I've never never seen anyone do.
And she got a little swaggy to her too, right?
So much, dude.
Yeah.
And the awesome thing about so I'm very blessed to get to work with these 3 unbelievable female athletes. They are so cool. They are such cool people where it's like, they don't walk around like, hey, I'm the best. No, none of it. Our conversations when we're working out have nothing to do with basketball most of the time. We're talking about literally life. And they're such cool, down to earth people. And that's why I love training them. I got and with Joyce, I started as a sophomore. Ashlyn, I started with in 8th grade. Malaysia, I didn't get until her senior year. And she has had no strength conditioning before this. And again, I'll be the first one to say these kids were 100% athletic before they ever got to me. I do not take credit for anything that they have ever done. Malaysia does the stuff on the basketball court, and she could do that and not lift weights one time.
Yeah, we were talking about earlier, the 3 most important things in every athlete is DNA. Right?
100%. Yes.
DNA.
Absolutely.
You got the
Their
DNA,
genetics, man.
the genetic freak. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's yeah. Most strength coaches who are honest say, I am guiding them down a path.
Yes.
That they were already on before I ever got a hold of them.
Absolutely. I give you the blueprint. They're the ones doing the work. They're the ones they're going to be that athletic, whether they're with me or not. But I'm just trying to guide you. Hopefully, we can, obviously at the time, Malaysia had committed to South Carolina, and Ashlyn, I think, was kind of the one was like, hey, this is different when you get to college. Like, you have to be strong. You're not here to get more athletic. You're here to get stronger because you're going to be banging against some girls that are big, grown women. So Malaysia comes in. But again, people see that Lauren Jacobs, she's the #1 player in the senior class in South Carolina, and she's been with me since 8th grade.
Yeah, I've watched her go for about 50 a few times. 50. Yeah, I've watched her go off.
Yeah. So we obviously know the answer to this as far as the difference between, an athlete that undergoes strength and conditioning versus an athlete that doesn't. But for anybody listening, for parents that might not understand, or athletes that don't understand, how does this make a difference? How does strength and conditioning training make a difference in an athlete's development?
Oh, so that's where it's like, I really stress, I don't like the injury prevention word, because you can't prevent injuries, right?
Right.
You play a sport, it's chaotic. You come down on a girl's ankle and roll your ankle, like, you can't prevent that. But what we can do is reduce the likelihood of some of these things happening. Maybe, like I was telling you, got strong ankles. Well, maybe you come down and you roll your ankle. Maybe you're only out a game instead of being out 4 games, right? A good example I use is Ashlyn. Ashlyn is the strongest pound for pound person I've ever worked with. And that's where I give Ashlyn. Ashlyn works her ass off in the weight room. She is so strong. But her senior year, she was playing, it was AAU, coming down on a fast break, coming down the court, and she slips and hyperextends her knee. Goes to the doctor, and the doctor said, you should have torn everything in your knee. You should have, because of that. All she had was a hyperextended knee and was back a couple weeks later. He said, you should have, and that's where I tell kids, that's where strength conditioning can make a huge impact. It helped too that her going into her freshman year of college, they were training that summer, and Coach Staley comes out and says, Ashlyn is the strongest, or something like the first athlete that came in here ready to play immediately.
I remember that. I remember when she said that. I remember she said that. Yeah, I remember she said that. She knows basketball.
She knows a little bit about basketball. She's worked some pretty good athletes before. So when you say what made me take the leap of faith, it helped that I have these elite athletes that kind of help promote me. And that's the nice thing, is I really don't even have to ask them to spread the word. If I post them, they post on their stories. They'll tell anybody. Kids will talk to their parents will talk to their parents, and they always send them my direction. So I was pretty confident, where I was like, I think I can do this. And I didn't do much advertising. I've never advertised. I post a little bit on Instagram. I'm horrible with it, not good with social media. But I had 3 schools, and, I started to really kind of push my personal training a little bit, my group training. So I was like, I think I can do this. And worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out for me, and I leave Cardinal Newman and it doesn't work out, I know I can get another job. I have a master's degree, even if it's not in strength and conditioning. I was okay with the fact that if it doesn't work out, I'll be okay.
Nice.
And that's what kind of made me, I was like, and my wife was very supportive. She's like, do it, she believed in me. So I was like, well, I'm going to do it. And, I'm glad I did.
Well, if you don't do it, you're going to sit down the line and be like,
Why didn't
Yes.
I?
Why didn't I
What
do it?
would have
Yeah.
happened? What could have
Yeah.
happened?
There's
Yeah.
two, there's two things that stick out the most is, I think I could take you anywhere in the country and say, hey, Josh, talk to me about youth performance training. And you're so passionate about it. Your passion is what sells it, right?
Absolutely.
Like I remember
Right. Yes.
I had a conversation with Jason Brunson a while back because we're talking about youth stuff. And he's like,
Mhm.
man, you just got to get with Josh Holmes, bro. That guy's passionate about it. And
Yeah.
he is doing the very beginning of long-term athletic development that everybody misses.
Yes.
That fun age of balance,
Fun.
coordination.
Yep.
Jeremy Boone, if you know Jeremy, had
Dude, I did Jeremy's class.
did you?
Yeah. Yep.
Jeremy's a really good friend of mine, bro. One of the
Yes.
I always give him credit anytime I go places, and if I regurgitate anything Jeremy Boone, I say, hey guys, that's not me, that's Jeremy Boone.
Yep.
He's invested thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of his time in me for free.
Yeah.
Thankful.
That's awesome.
And he came out with movement-based games in like 2008. It was a DVD.
Yep.
And then it was a pamphlet, and then it was all this stuff. And it's the first time he's like, I really looked at movement-based games for speed, and I still use this stuff now at my school. It's movement-based games, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
it every time it happens, kids are laughing, having fun, going crazy. And I see you doing stuff where they're balancing on the beams and they're moving, and I'm like,
Yep.
well, that's
Yep.
physical. What you're doing is you're filling in the gaps of where our schools have messed up, and you're doing physical education is what you're doing, right? It's not.
It's PE. It's what
physical
PE
education.
used to be.
Mhm.
Yeah, PE is not like that anymore.
It's
PE
no.
is
So-
playing under the balloon thing and riding on little scooter things. At least
So-
that's what I did.
Yes, and I'm glad you, Josh. I'm glad you brought that up because that is another reason I really wanted to do this youth thing is because my wife works in at an elementary school, and I know a lot of these PE classes in elementary school, dude, like they're in classrooms, they're doing stuff.
Really?
They're in classrooms, especially after COVID. Like they were doing like a lot of stuff on the iPads. I'm like, wait a second, PE is the one time we don't need screens. Get the screens away. I don't want to see a phone. I don't want to see an iPad. Like, so now a lot of times, a lot of the schools, they walk laps, they run laps, they got to do the pacer, they got to do this stuff. Kids hate PE. And like, that breaks my heart. I'm like, PE was the most fun class ever. Like, so that's, again, like you said, like I'm doing PE, what PE used to be.
Right. But like if it's in classrooms and you're just doing the pacer test, like that again brings it back exercise as punishment.
It's
like
punishment,
it's not
yes.
fun.
No.
Which is terrible.
Exactly. And I'm glad you said about the smiling, or like your kids are laughing, Josh, like when you're doing that stuff. Dude, a lot of my Instagram posts, when I post about it, I always post something about like the smiles, because that's one thing. You come to any one of my sessions at my house, at school, my youth thing, no matter the age, whether it's I'm working, I got a bunch of kids that play overseas basketball, whether it's them, no matter the age, we're laughing, we're smiling, like, yeah, we're doing stuff that sucks. It's hard. Like you're done, you're sweating. Like it's not that, like you can have fun and still work hard. Those things, like you don't just have to go really hard and make it miserable for someone. Like it's okay to have fun in a workout. And people, I think, I don't know where that got lost. Or maybe it's just like that mentality, or it's like, oh, it's grind. There's like, come on, man. That's the opposite of my style. I don't like to yell. I'm not someone that raises their voice. I have to yell. I got to yell, man. That ruins my day, dude. That ruins my day.
I don't coach that way either. I'm not a yeller. That bothers me. Right.
Do you guys have conversations with the coaches about promoting exercise as punishment? Is that something you guys talk to coaches about?
We don't do exercise as punishment unless it gets
like no running sprints after you perform poorly or anything like that.
No. It's never performance based. If we do something around, it's like last resort. You're trying to connect with, get a kid to understand the importance. Every kid, you got to find their punishment of what's miserable, right?
Yeah.
Don't they like? I do not like exercise-based punishment.
Me either.
I don't prefer it. I don't like to do it. There's other ways to inspire a kid to get in line other than absolutely murder them. I will say,
yeah,
I have, there are times where 500 flights on a Stairmaster gets the point across.
I was about to say, like, when
Yeah.
when I was playing youth sports, I remember one of our punishments for like being bad at practice or playing poorly, we did reverse Indian runs. So,
Yeah,
you know, like
it's never based on performance for us. It's the things, it's the little things you have to do to be great, which is be on time.
yeah. Yeah,
Right?
100%.
Yeah,
But like,
things
which
like
is,
being on time. But if
but
you
like
played
if
poorly,
you were,
Yep.
but if you were late, you would run. Like
yeah,
that
Right.
was your punishment. So
Yeah.
you'd then miss practice because
Yep.
you're running because you're 10 minutes late. So I've never
You're
really
running.
understand that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's like,
But
how does this make sense? Now, like, right. You
now
can't
I'm
even
missing
practice because you're running a
practice.
punch. Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
did that teach them? I don't know.
Yeah, I know a
No.
guy. I know a guy. I know
Told
a
them they hated
guy.
exercise.
Now this is
Right.
college strength and conditioning. It's different. Listen, in
Yeah,
college,
absolutely.
it's a different ball game, bro. Right? But
Absolutely.
if you were late to
Absolutely.
a workout, you had to clean the weight room with a sign on your chest that said, "I don't care about my teammates."
Oh,
Okay,
dude,
well,
I
that's
love that.
better. That's
I
better.
love that.
Yeah.
I don't care about my teammates, and they'd have
Mhm.
to clean the room during the workouts. Right? One of the
Oh,
best
okay.
things I've ever seen from a punishment is a kid just couldn't get it done. This was a college environment, and he kept being late, kept being late, kept being late. All the stuff they did didn't work. So what they did one day when he was late, the next day he came in, and the coaches had Outback, and it was conditioning on the football field, like 1 in the afternoon in August. So it's just like brutal, right?
Yeah.
Hot.
And they brought a table with an umbrella, with Outback and dessert. And he had to sit in the middle of the field and eat that whole meal while his teammates ran sprints for him being late.
Dude.
That's psychological warfare. That's
Yes,
It is
it is.
psych.
you're
It's
Yes,
so,
it is.
you're at a different level when you're that kind of punishment is
Dude.
yours. That's psychological warfare, right?
Yes. Yes.
The other thing I was going to say that you said that I hope people don't miss is you're like, some of my players, we never talked about basketball. We
yeah,
never
that's
talked
huge.
about this. One
Yep.
thing Jeremy Boone says, I always give him credit, is connection trumps communication.
Mm.
Yes.
When you connect with a kid,
Yes.
you could sit down with a kid and show him scientifically why you're doing everything you do,
Yep.
and you won't have buy-in.
Right. Absolutely.
When you connect with a kid and a kid looks at you and goes, wow, this dude's awesome, he cares about me.
Yes.
Those kids will die on a field for you.
Well, and I also think
100%.
too, like, not only are you developing them in an athletic perspective, like you're very much so building their confidence that they're more than just a basketball player.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yes, because so like you said, relationships are like number one for me. I need to have a relationship with you because I know if I have a good relationship with you, when times get tough, you're gonna do what I need you to do, right?
And you're going to enjoy this.
And you're gonna enjoy it, absolutely. And you're gonna understand why I'm having you do something. It might not be fun, it might not be hard, because not everything we do is gonna be a game or gonna be fun. Like we gotta,
Yeah.
like there's some work where it's just like you know, we're gonna do Bulgarians today. I'm sorry, but we're in
Yeah.
Bulgarians, and you know everyone's mad. Well, you know it's good for you, but they're gonna do it for me. Ashlyn,
Yeah.
she's gonna complain. She's gonna be mad at me. She's gonna do it though. That is the one thing I'll say about her. She's always gonna do it. So I'm gonna. You can complain all you want, cry about it. I don't. That's okay. And she knows she needs to get it out, but then she's gonna do it because our relationship. She understands. And that's with all my youth kids. Like I'm trying to. Biggest thing is like I need them to have a relationship with me. We're having fun. They're comfortable with me. And then they're comfortable with me now. Like we're doing some really cool things. Like they're not thinking about how hard something is. They're just I ask them to do it. They're doing it, not thinking twice about it.
Mm-hmm.
And what
Yeah.
great what you just said about you're more than just a basketball player.
Yeah.
When I like we can talk about youth, it kills me because these youth, I feel like their identity is based around their sport. So these kids are 12 years old traveling the country when and all they identify as is a soccer player. I'm a soccer player. I'm a basketball player. I'm a baseball player.
That's it.
Well, no, you're not. You're a 12-year-old. You're a kid.
Yeah.
Like because what happens when again, most of you guys haven't gone through puberty yet. So it's not going to go great for some of you guys. And if you are a great soccer player right now, and all of a sudden you get to your senior year of high school and you're like, oh man, all this that I did, like now you just, if your identity is only that of your sport, well, you're gonna feel like you're a failure. I didn't make. I'm
Right.
not D1. I'm not D2.
Or you get
I'm
injured and
not
you're
even going
out.
to college. Or you get
Yeah.
injured. Or you get injured and you just can't do it anymore. It's like,
Yeah.
well, now what is that kid like? They just think they're a failure. How does Josh and I talked about this a couple days ago, actually. It's like, as a parent, how are you mad now? Like, do you feel like, oh man, I just invested all my money, all my time in you from 8 years old on these travel sports, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and you don't make it? Like, now the parent and the kid have a weird relationship. Like, and it's so common. And it's sad. It's
Yeah.
like you're more than your sport.
Right. Exactly. Because
Like,
your sport isn't forever. For most
it's
people,
gonna
your
end.
sport isn't forever.
It's gonna end.
Right.
Even if you go pro and play and have
It's
a great
gonna
pro
end.
career, it's
Yeah.
gonna end when you're in your like 30s.
Yeah.
And you have your whole life still ahead of you.
Have
So
you been
Exactly.
have you been in this long enough to have the conversation with a kid that you've known since he's 13 that it's over?
so
you been
I
doing
have
that long?
kids. Yeah, I mean, I have kids that I've seen through 8th grade all the way through college, and they're done playing. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you know what? That's a good question. I've never actually like had that conversation with them.
Yeah, that's tough, man.
Yeah,
That's a really tough conversation when a
yeah,
kid calls you and says, there's a very popular player, South Carolina player, baseball,
yeah.
that
Yep.
was done. And
Okay.
he called me from baseball in South America. He had a pro career, great college career, really
Yeah.
good pro career. And he goes, I am calling people that influence me the most to let them know I'm done. And it blew my mind. I was like,
Wow.
what are you talking about?
Wow.
He's like, he goes, I told myself the day I woke up and the first place I didn't want to be was the baseball field. I'm done. And I'm
Fair.
stealing somebody else's
Absolutely.
spot who wants to be there.
Absolutely.
And I was
That's
like,
wild.
That's a mature kid.
First off, I was
Very.
blown away that he called me. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what? Right? And he's like, yeah, I'm making 6 or 7 calls to people that influence most to let them know that I'm done. And this is wanting to thank them for your investment into me. And I was like, blown away, bro. Like,
That makes me want to cry.
I was like,
I know,
teary.
seriously.
He was teary eyed, and I was
Tears.
he was teary eyed, and I was
Oh,
teary eyed,
man.
and like he's done. And I was like, wow, I really respect that. He's like, I know I have greater things for me outside of baseball. And when he said that, I went, then quit. I said, but I've also had the conversation
Yeah.
of, I don't know anything else to do. I've never done anything else.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm done
Right,
playing.
right.
I'm done playing, and I'm not the baseball player, the basketball player, the soccer player. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's tough. That's a tough and that conversation and that development starts when they're really, really, really young.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That starts with the conversations the parent has with the kid when they're 12. Right.
Yeah.
And when your kid is playing a soccer game or a baseball game or a basketball, football game, parents don't realize that the first thing you talk about your kid is going to see is the most important thing. So when your 12-year-old
Yeah.
walks off the baseball field and you go, what happened to that strikeout?
Yeah.
Well, like, oh, man, sucks you guys didn't win. I understand parents don't know what they're saying, but the first thing you say is your kid is going to see it the most important thing.
Right.
And I had this is another one that almost like hit me in the gut. I have a really good friend of mine. We share back and forth parenting stuff. He's got older boys. And he hit me with a text 2 weeks ago, and he says, I mean, dude, this is like stopped me in my tracks. He goes, you want to hear a failed dad moment? I'm like, sure, I'd love to have a failed dad moment.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, I was talking to my son about his protein and his food intake, and oh god, dude, it's almost like hard to say. His kid's like 17. My kid goes, Dad, I'd wish you talked to me about other stuff outside of football and my protein intake. And bro, like, oh, dude, just hearing that, I replied,
God,
I was like, he's like, what? And this is a guy I revere as a phenomenal father. He is a great father, great mold model. Listen, if there's anything we need in this country today, it's strong fathers, right?
Absolutely.
And I revere this man as a kind of father I want to be as his older, what I want to be for my kid.
Yep.
And he said that to me, and like, dude, I like stopped in my tracks, and I'm like, dude, he's like, I'm failing that my kid said that. And I said,
Wow.
well, let's think two things. Like I said, one, you don't have to be that way anymore. Two, that opens
Right.
up a conversation with your kid to have that he means more to you than that. Third,
Yeah.
your son has a good enough relationship that he can come to you with something hard.
Say that,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So
That does
let's
mean a lot for him to
that
say that to him.
oh
Yes.
right.
Yep.
Like, oh
Yep.
my gosh. Like,
Yep.
like I mean, when I read, I thought it was gonna be something funny. Like,
Yeah.
send me something funny. Or like,
Yeah.
like
Right. Right.
my kid says funny things all the time. I always say, I'm like, yeah, my
Yeah.
kid said something funny today, right? Like,
Yep.
and he's like, yeah. My kid goes, Dad, it'd be neat if you talked to me about things outside of football and my protein intake.
Oh.
And dude, I was like sitting there and I like my
Yeah.
whole energy left me. I'm like, oh, dude, are
Yes.
you serious?
Yes.
He's like, yeah. He's like, I suck.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people and a lot of parents that do that don't understand what they're doing.
And never will. And because
And
their kids won't say it to them.
and you're sitting there talking to kids, and you said some of the kids you connected with early, you never talked to them about basketball.
No.
Never. You talk to them about other things because they're deeper than that. They're bigger than that.
You're more than a
Yeah.
basketball player or a football
Yeah.
player or a baseball
Yeah.
player. Like, you're more
Yeah.
than that. I want to
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
you. I want to know who you are.
Yeah. What you're
Not
doing. And then
what.
yeah, when I had Athletes Arena, I always said I had a team of 60 kids that were warriors. And I was like, I always felt safe because I had 60 kids that if I needed somebody to go bury a body,
Yeah.
I had 60 kids that would go do it.
The help.
Like
Yes.
they would
Yep.
bury it, be like, Coach, don't worry about it. We'll bury it. Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
And I did. And you
Yes.
just have a bunch of little warriors that would go to bat. And like, as you go on, you're in your career, like you're going to have situations. I had a kid, that got a job at like 27, 28 years old. He became, the CFO of like a medical area, like a medical institute, like a medical place, like big time
Damn.
job.
Yeah.
And I hadn't talked to this kid for 4 years. He goes, Coach, I just want to let you know I got this job. And the skills that I learned to get that job are the skills that I learned at the gym when I was 14, 15, 16.
1000%. Like
I
if I
know.
credit anybody in my life for the things that I've learned, it's obviously my parents and it's my coaches.
Mhm.
Yeah.
1,000,000%. That's how you learn how to be a
Yeah.
good human being.
So, they say just for you, like they say, what's the question? It says, cultures flourish when old men plant trees, the shade they'll never sit in. Right.
Mhm.
Yep.
And I think what you're doing right now is you are planting trees with kids who sometimes after 13, 14, 15, you might not talk to them. Their parents
Right.
move, they go here, they go there.
Yep. Yep.
But you're planting seeds where some kids are going to be 25, 26, 27, and they're going to do something or be somebody, and they're going to be like, I learned that all because I had a coach that came for last period and instilled these things in me when I'm 12.
Yeah.
It's hard sometimes to open up the big picture and find out the impact you have.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I always
Right.
think
It is.
like, I'm like, well, man, that kid, I wish he would have gone on to play college sports, but he didn't. We failed, blah, blah, blah. I've gotten like that. But then like, man, you just built grit, determination, the benefit of hard work, how to
Absolutely.
fail, how to win.
How to be a teammate.
Yes.
Like
How to
it's
be a
just
yes.
so many
That
things.
teammate one is huge.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
No,
that's
What do you mean?
100%.
Talk about that. Like when you talk about being a teammate,
like
I
being
mean,
like actually like caring for someone besides yourself. And I feel like I don't see it as much as what I used to. A lot of it is so about you right now. It's about yourself and not about your team. It's did I do
Yeah.
well? I only care
Yeah.
how many points did I have? How many assists did I have? I don't care if we won or lost. I had a good game. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't know if that comes from. I see it a lot because it's posted on social media a lot. I see so many kids that are posting their stats, and it's like, well, you guys just lost by 20, and you're posting about how well you did.
Yeah.
Like life, like again, being like you said, that guy that had to clean the weight room. I don't care about my teammates. Well, you show up late to work at your job, and that leaves someone hanging, and something goes wrong at your job. Like you just kind of screwed your employees, and you're like, it's the same thing as being on a team.
Yeah. But then also thinking about it
Yeah.
deeper too, like being a teammate is also being a part of a family. Like you're still a teammate of that family. You're still a teammate in
Yeah, oh
your
yeah.
partnership, you know? So you learn all of these really important lessons in being involved in teams of how to work together, how to communicate better, how to make sure that you guys win. And when you lose, you still lose as a team.
Right. When you lose, we're not
there's so
blaming,
much
oh, this is your
value.
fault. We lost because of you. We lost because of you, or lost because of this play. Like, no, that's not how it works.
Right. And it's so interesting for me to hear this too, because I don't have kids, and I think learning more about like developing a younger brain, like we're probably 4 or 5 years away from having kids, hopefully. So now that I take this into my thought process of like, how do I raise a child that is more than a sport, that knows how to play on a team, that is excited for fitness. Fitness isn't punishment. It's blowing my mind a little bit.
I'm so conscious. Listen, I've been in this game long enough. I've seen the good and the bad. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
And I say this, every year is not different. It's just a different parent. So it's been 25 years of doing this. It's the same parent every year, just a different set of parents with the same problems. And I know the end game.
Yeah.
It's not improved. I know the end game, right? I know the parent that's all about them. It's all about their kid. I know the parent that wants their kid to listen. If I'm really honest, you can identify the Division I athletes in 8th and 9th grade.
Yes,
buddy. Right. Like they're different. Like the Power 5 kids in 9th grade.
Yes.
You go. Who's the Power 5? I mean, we had a big time running back my first year there, and I walked into the first weight room ever at Phnm, and I went, "That's different." Right?
Yeah, you could tell.
Yeah, I'm
but
like,
no, you
right
can't.
away.
That's
like,
different.
You just look different.
It's their life. They love it.
It is a different. It is a different looking dude when you find the Power 5. Listen, nobody needed to convince Ashlyn that she was probably a Power 5 basketball. She's the best player in the country. In 8th grade, you went. That's what it looks like. Right.
She's different. She stands out. Yes, like everything she does is different.
Yeah, and at that point, you turn into the coach that tells people, "Don't break the toys."
Yes.
Yeah.
Just don't break the toys. What do you you know, a buddy of mine was called into work. I tell a story. A buddy of mine was called into work with Jadeveon Clowney when he was a junior. And he worked with him for one day, and my buddy looked around and he goes, "What do you want me to do?"
Right.
Like,
different. That guy's different.
It's different.
Dude, and that's funny. Ashlyn's 8th grade year, me and V went up to Wake Forest and met with Ryan Horn, who was the strength coach at Wake Forest at the time, basketball. So we're talking to him. I tell him like, hey, like we got this 8th grade girl, one of the best in the country, going to be huge. Any recommendations? How do we do it? And he literally looks at us and he says, "Don't F it up." That's it. Don't F it up.
Yeah.
Like literally. What are you gonna do to make her athleticism? She's already who she is. So just don't screw her up. So that's where I kind of took that. I'm like, dang, like he's right. So that's why my mentality with her was, don't mess up her relationship with the weight room. Don't come in and, hey, we're squad, we're doing all this crazy stuff right away. Nope. I eased her in from 8th grade, and then 9th grade was a little bit more. Sophomore year, a little bit more. By junior and senior year, she loved it. She told me that if she doesn't play basketball, she wants to be a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's the thing too.
Oh my God, I love it. Because like she loves the weight room.
Yeah. But that's the thing is like, I felt the same way. Like I loved exercising in high school and I lost it a little bit in college, but after college, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And here I am heavily involved with fitness because I've loved fitness.
And fitness, yes.
Yeah,
so you just never know where you end up.
My job is to build gym rats. I say my job is to build gym rats.
Yeah, get you to love this.
Yeah, when they're 12, 13, so when we work with JV kids and middle school kids, I don't know what we're doing that day. I got an idea.
Yeah.
I know. I got an idea what we're doing. Like there are things we're doing. Like I'll get it's kind of like when your parents told you as a kid, like, hey, we're gonna give you a choice as long as you make the right choice. Right? Like, you got a choice, but once you right. So I said, hey guys, I want to do lower body. We're going to do full body today. Anybody got things you like to do? What do you think? I want to do that. All right, we'll do that. But to do that, you got to do this. So they have buy-in to the workouts. They're doing the
Dude.
exercises they like. They do 4 sets of 15 hammer curls at the end because they think they're getting
because they'll blow up my arms.
And now you have gym rats. Now you have these kids you're kicking out of the gym when they're 14, 15, 16. And they're just these little gym rats where they're in there just training. And then their moms are like, what are we doing? Like all of a sudden I can't get this kid to put his shirt on, right?
Right,
And he's eating everything.
He's eating everything. He's like, I've never bought more protein. So you're building these I tell people my job is to build gym rats. I build gym rats and then I mold them to where I want them to go.
That's fantastic though, because that's the issue that we're seeing now with our clients that are, 30, 40, 50, 60 is they don't love doing this because they were never taught to love it.
Exactly.
It's going to make a huge, and it's just going to make a huge difference with all of these kids now when they turn around and they're out of college, they're in their 30s, they're in their 40s, they're in their 50s, they're still going to love it.
Yes, and that's why it's like I want you guys to fall in love with this now because you're going to do it in college. I've had multiple kids talk to me about how after they high school, not athletes or anything, just kids that took lifting in school, and they still go. They went and took a lifting class in college, and they still train. Like I love that. My favorite texts are from the parents of my young kids, where they're like, "My grocery bill has went up about $100 a week because of you," and I'm like, "Oh God, I'm sorry, but I love it." Like that makes me happy because they're eating, they're fine. Like, that's the one that's hardest to get through is the nutrition piece. Just to get them to understand, like you can lift all you want, but if you're eating Lunchables for lunch every day, we're probably not getting any weight.
So my approach to that with kids is a painful one. It's they're gonna model what they see at home.
Yeah.
You're right, dude.
I kind of throw the buck on them. Like I pass the buck to the mom.
Right on the parents.
Right? I throw it on them. Right. I totally just like skirt responsibility. And I say, kids are going to mold their behavior based on what they see at home. If you want your kid to eat better, you start eating better. Here's some guidelines to stick to for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and some things to look at. I'll give you 2 or 3, but here's what I'll tell you. When you start serving better food, when you start eating better yourself, when you start creating an environment around healthy eating, your kid's going to follow sort. So it's on you. I can give them some tips and some things, but just like exercise and fitness and nutrition, and that's the same way with sports and involvement in playing sports. If they see you active and do things, they're going to be active.
Yes, absolutely, they're going to do it for sure. That's how I have my.
Good.
No, go ahead.
No, your kid. What are you going to say?
I was going to say my son is 10 months old, but this dude is in the weight room with me and my wife. Anytime we are out here crawling around, obviously he doesn't know what's going on, but he just sees it and he's staring.
But it's staring at
me when I'm working out. He's staring at her. He's out here sometimes. Like you saw that picture, like Ashlyn. I had. Ashlyn, Malaysia, Chico, they were all in here the other day working out, and he's in here with them, and they're holding him, playing with him, and like, again, he doesn't know what's going on, but just I believe that if he sees it and he's around it, it's just something that he's just gonna want to do.
Yeah.
The environment it's true. It's true because he's gonna see his parents doing that, and that's 100% true. I love that. My fiance's CrossFit gym. They just started doing CrossFit Kids. They do like little program for the kids, and it's cool because it's the same kind of fundamental stuff, just like little stuff. And these kids love this CrossFit program. They love it. And they just do super basic stuff like shuttle runs and goblet squats, and they've just gotten them like mini little barbells. And I'm like, that is the coolest thing to see as somebody that's involved with it now.
I've really softened my take on sports performance over the year. I used to be real militant on how you train a kid. I've softened it over the years, almost to where like I continue. If you want to train athletes, that's great. Like there's a lot of people that thought athlete training was cool and they got into it, and I'm like, probably wouldn't send my kid there, but maybe he's got a good heart. I don't know. And I used to be very militant about it, and I'm almost to the point that like, hey, as long as you're doing no harm.
As
long as you're
not probably doing good.
You're probably as long as you're not hurting a kid. Now I've seen things that get put on social media by people that want to train athletes, and you see it in the baseball environment a lot, and you put that up and you're just like, ooh,
you're like standing on a Bosu ball.
It's cringy, it's painful, and you're just kind of like, oh man, what are we doing? Like
I know, and I feel bad for the kid.
I see
they don't know any better.
Well, obviously the coach doesn't know any better. So one, the coach thought about doing it. So first of all, first failure was the coach thought about doing it. The second failure is he thought good enough about it to put it on social media.
Yeah.
And you're just like, wow, you're like, wow, I see two fails there. You did it in the first place, and then you put it on social media, meaning you thought you were bragging about it. And I
Right.
said, but if you're really in this industry of working with youth kids and the performance side, and you're not doing any harm, and you're at least sharing exercise and fitness with them as an
Yep.
environment, let's hope they find the right route to it. I
Absolutely.
used to not have that take. I used to
Yeah.
not. I used to be very militant, very hard take on what you're doing with kids. But the industry's become so saturated that I'm just like,
Cool.
hey, if you're just not hurting kids,
Yeah.
right?
Man, some
I
of the
feel
stuff
good
I
about
see.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary.
I know.
It's
It
tough.
is.
It's tough to
It
see
is.
sometimes.
And
And
it's
it's
just
tough when people ask you their opinion. They're like, what do you think about my kid doing this? Like,
And you say,
right. Like
mm,
I
yeah,
don't like to badmouth
yeah.
trainers, right? Like, because I just stay in my lane. I do me. If you want to go train, if it's one of my kids and I know that they're training with someone that's probably doing some not so good stuff, then I'm going to be a little bit, I might have to just give the parent a heads up. But
I've had that happen
yeah,
recently. I had a kid go off and do some training with a
yep,
group of people, and because they were
yep,
gone for the summer, and they contacted me. We called, we talked. I ended up talking to somebody, and it's somebody I know that has a group of trainers underneath them. And I'm like, hey, here's the deal, dude. She can work with you.
yeah,
If any of your trainers touch her and break her, I'm going to kill you.
yeah, exactly,
Right? Like, and
exactly.
this is, yeah. I was like,
I
if they
know.
work with you, I'm down with it. But from what she's telling me and what's going on and what some people have said to her, I'm like, I
Yep.
don't want anybody else touching her. I want
Right,
her to get back to
right.
me. You can work. I mean, it's different because I'm invested into it. But
Yep.
dude, I really appreciate you coming on. I love your passion about it. I think
Mhm.
our goal is to just share more of the positive of people that are
For
out
sure.
there doing this. You are working in an environment that so many people don't want to work in because I know so many people that are going to school and they call me, it's like, I want to go to strength and conditioning, get my CSCS, and I want to work with high level professional athletes.
Yeah.
Yeah, high
I'm like,
Yeah.
level.
yeah, and
Yeah,
that's
that's
and
it.
I said
Yeah.
that's like the physical therapist who goes, I want to get into physical therapist athlete ATC certification, and I want to work with pros. Like, and you're mostly going
Yeah.
to be working with grandma's hip.
Yes. Yes.
If you want me to be
Exactly.
honest. And
Yeah.
Exactly.
you work with an environment that you don't get a lot of the publicity. Now you got girls, don't get me wrong. You got,
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. You've not a lot of coaches have done strength conditioning with two girls that have been number one girl in the country.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. I mean,
Right.
I'm not gonna,
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. Let's
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
somebody
I'm
who's been like,
lucky.
yeah, I've had two
Lucky.
girls that have, yeah, I mean, yeah, right. No, find another coach in the country that's had back-to-back players of the year.
Right.
I'm not
Right.
saying you don't train absolute studs, because
Yeah.
obviously I've seen your pictures and I'm like, holy crap, that's a 3-on-3 basketball. That
Yeah.
3-on-3 basketball team of girls would beat any guys in school right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
but when what you're doing outside with the kids, most people don't want to do that in our industry.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
And I have always said the best coaches in the country need to be with the 9 to 14, 13-year-olds.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
Training professional athletes is not hard. I've
It's
done it.
not hard, dude. It is not
Not
hard. No.
teaching that uncoordinated girl how to do a front
That,
squat with the bar at
man,
12.
dude, that's
You'll
hard.
stab yourself in the eye after 30 minutes, right?
Absolutely.
Because they don't know what they're
Absolutely.
doing. Working with a group of 30 second, third graders. I got a second
Yep.
grader, bro. You
Oh.
multiply him by 30, I'm lighting them on fire at some point.
Oh yeah,
And-
don't tired after those
And
sessions.
you're getting them to move under things and crawl things and over things
Yep.
and all that stuff. That's what we need, right? That's where
Yeah.
that's where the best
Yes.
coaches in the country need to be.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you coming on. We'll probably do a 2.0 at some point where
Yeah.
Love to
maybe we
anytime.
bring on V. We
And
talked
yeah,
about V.
Oh, that would be so
You
fun.
talked
Yeah.
about V being a
anytime.
mentor. People are like,
Yeah.
do you know Coach V? I said, dude, that dude
Man.
was a little hood rat hanging around Athletes Arena in 2007.
Yep.
I was like, do I know
Yeah.
him, bro? He used to come into Athletes Arena and just sit in the corner for hours, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was like, I know that, dude. What are you talking about, right? But even bring him on and talk. They got great, and I would like to do an episode on just long-term athletic development
Yeah.
and what it
That'd be cool.
means to
Yeah.
really prepare
Yeah.
kids for life.
Absolutely.
Using
From the
sports
beginning
model to the end.
all the way through. Yes.
What long-term athletic development means, what it's been kind of bastardized into.
Yeah.
you know, the role of the parent. I think the role of the parent is a big thing right now. V sent us that article a while back that we both read about parenting in sports.
Yep.
That I read that and I was just like, oh
Yes.
my gosh, is that where we're at in youth sports with parents? Like,
I know,
man, that's painful.
Mentally, what is happening to these young kids because of their parents, I feel so bad for. And another way, like, I just look at it like, I'm glad I'm in it because it's going to help me as my son gets older.
And let's be honest,
to know how to coach him and be with him.
There's phenomenal parents.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
There are phenomenal parents, but if anything
100%.
can make a parent lose their logical thinking, it's the love for their child, right? Like the love for their child can make a parent like lose their mind a little bit, right? Can make them a little crazy. And there are phenomenal. It's just the 15% that are off the wagon are the loudest. They're the ones yelling at the refs, yelling at the coach, saying,
yes, they are,
you know, saying things like,
do the T-ball games and coaches pitch. And
I'm out. Yeah. I hope my kid, I love baseball. I've made a living in the baseball world, but if my kid never picks up a bat and plays baseball, I'm not going to argue. Right. But you know, they're the parents. And one of my favorite things with parents is, well, you just don't like my kid. I'm like, you must not understand men. Men, and I've said this, men will put 9 kids spawned by Satan on a baseball team if it means they win. You could hate a child with your guts. And if he can throw a 92-mile-per-hour fastball, he's starting day
out
one,
there.
Right? Like he's out there, right? I said, so that's not, so sorry, Mom, that's not how men work. That's not how men work, right? Men will put evil children on the field if they can sling the quarterback, if they can sling it a quarterback, right? So, but maybe talk about that a little bit, long-term athletic development, parenting, maybe thought about things like that. But really appreciate coming on. Again, you're in Forest Acres, right? So Columbia, like you're downtown Columbia.
Right in Forest Acres.
We'll tag your Instagram so people can get in touch with you and get their kids going or talk to you and even if it's consulting, whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah, whatever.
Questions,
we'll put that together.
People, feel free to reach out.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I really appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you for having me. Honored to be on here with you guys.
All right, man. We'll talk.
With all due respect.